And okay, so welcome back after our Shavuot break. And the last time we were learning paragraph 18. And we will go back over what we learned because because we've had a break, and also because I think that we need some clarity around what we were learning. But I want to take you back before we go into the text, just to remind us what we're doing here, like where are we in the scheme of things, and then Mila will take us forward. So I was looking back at paragraph 4, which is where he began this hitbonenut into Mimale Kol Almim. And he gave, Reb Hillel gave two beautiful reasons why we're doing this detailed hitbonenut into Mimale Kol Almim, which is how Hashem's light is present in this world. So in Nechama, from what we were talking about off camera, I think that this also speaks to that. Like, why are we doing this? Now, this is just my summary. So it doesn't have all the explanation, but he said, okay, we're going to preface with an explanation of Mimale Kol Almim, and this was the first time he told us, and he says, why? So he says, through grasping Mimale Kol Almim, like really understanding it, a revelation of godliness is drawn into one's neshama and natural soul in an internal way of or pnimi, not or makif. And he said there, and that fulfills the mitzvah to know Hashem. And here he says, as opposed to in parentheses, he said, when you understand only the sovev kolamim, not the pnimiut, it doesn't penetrate one's own pnimiut. Rather, it is sensing in a way of exaltation and wonder, like romamut and hafla, which does not fulfill the mitzvah to know Hashem. So what I understand from this is, for the last, really this whole chapter, what he's been doing is taking us on a very detailed hitbonenut into Mimale Kol Almim and giving us all these mashalim. And what it does, especially if we do review, is that it slowly, because of the details, it slowly drips and into our consciousness in a way of pnimi. And it slowly begins to make a change. And we slowly begin to understand something that probably we understood as a general concept, but now it's very different when you understand it in a detailed way. So that's really the purpose of what we're doing. That's the first thing, is that it's going to really be drawn down into one's neshama and one's animal soul, one's natural soul, in an internalized way. And then he says the main intention in understanding Mimale is to grasp basically three things. That Mimale is not separate from the essence at all, from Atzmos. Like that which is very, very high and that which is very, very low, which is our world, it's not separate. Hashem is the same above as he is below. And the second thing is Atzmos or Ein Sof itself, Atzmos or Ein Sof itself fills all worlds, each one individually. So that's the very highest level, comes down and fills all the worlds, down to our physical world. And nevertheless, there's no change in him at all. So these are the main ideas that are going to come out in Mimale, but these are things, it's very derech klal. So you can say, okay, I understand that, Yud Ke Vav Ke and Elokim are the same, as we learned earlier. but they're very general statements. And so, we know them as a general idea. And ultimately, this is what we're going to come to understand. But when you do the hitbonenut into it in the details, you don't just understand it in a general way. You understand it in a pneumius way. It begins to impact you in a pneumius way. So I just wanted to reconnect to that, to say why are we doing this? Because now in paragraph 18, so we've done we've looked at a lot of different aspects of how the Mimale light manifests, and we've used the mashal of the sun and the candlelight and the soul in the body and the koach hapol benifal. And each one has taught us something different about how Hashem's light functions in the world. And now in paragraph 18, we're going to go into a much more profound and deeper look at these two mashalim, what they, the candlelight and the sunlight, and what they teach us about Torah and mitzvot, and how the Torah and mitzvot bring light into this physical world. And I have to say, I've kind of, I don't mean this in a nasty way, but I kind of feel sorry for people who haven't stayed with us, because I really feel like he's really beginning to really tell us very deep things in a way that it's hard to find anywhere else. Yes, you can find them in other places, probably in a more derech klal, but I really feel like it's starting to really get interesting. Okay, so that's my little introduction.
Can I ask a question about the introduction before we move forward?
Yes, Nechama.
Okay, so I think we've always learned that Mimali is one thing and Soviv is something else. And like almost everything else in Chassidus, it seems to be a paradox. So are you saying that it's really all the same? That the Soviv does come down into the world, and is it only that in order for us to learn it and perceive it and bring it into our own reality, that we call them separate things?
So the whole idea
it is and it isn't the same.
Yeah, so the Sovev is just what didn't yet become Mimale. That's what Sovev means. So we constantly, as we certainly with this kind of learning, you constantly making that which was Sovev Mimale. That which was beyond your knowledge now becomes knowledge. You're drawing, we're constantly knocking against what's Sovev. So Sovev is also, sometimes it's a relative, sorry. Sometimes it's a relative term, and sometimes it's talking about something more specific. Here he's talking, I think, more about, the specifics of like the light that is Sovev, maybe talking about Yehuda Ilah as opposed to Yehuda Tata, as being Sovev as opposed to Mimale. But
so is it all about our process and how we perceive it? Like you and I might be standing in the same place and you're absorbing the light and I'm not.
Yeah. My one person's Sovev might be somebody else's Mimale. If you're talking about it like in a general way. But I think there's also, when he's saying, if you're studying about Mimale, and here he's talking about the way Hashem's light manifests in Beria, Yetzira, and Asiya. So that's where he's talking about Mimale Kol al Mim, as opposed to everything that's above it, which he's referring to, I think, as Sovev. So it's slightly different. It's almost like, I don't know how to say it. Like sometimes it could be, it's relative, or it's a noun. So here I think he's saying something slightly different than what we're talking about. but it's still, both are correct.
Mhm.
All right. I don't know if that
Thank
was
you.
more confusing, but it works both ways. All right, Mila, I'm handing over to you.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna go, Baruch Hashem, straight to the text. And again, the text is Baruch Hashem is quite self-explanatory. Just gonna make it I think a little bit bigger. And if anybody has questions, please ask
Mila,
them.
before we start, can you kind of give just like a general overview of what it is he's going to be, unpacking here, just so that we have a context, and then we'll go into the details.
Right. So we pretty much gonna be discussing how candle, right? We're going to be one of our 5 mashalim. Let's go back to it. Remember, it was sun and a candle. So we want to go a little bit deeper into how the sun and how the candle, okay, relate to the nimshal, which we're talking about Malchus of Atzilus creating this world, which we live in. How is that exactly taking place, right? And which element of the candle and which element of the sun, in comparison to this light, we can really take in our understanding of this godly light that's that's being expressed through Malchus of Atzilus, and also expressed through the Midas of Atzilus, which is called Zer Anpin, right? Zer Anpin is means small face. Okay, if you remember the Kabbalistic term for Ratzon was Arich Anpin, right? Arich Anpin means a long face. Zer Anpin means a small face. Okay. Whatever midas we have in our desire, which is huge, okay, when it comes down to the actual creation, it's a miniature. Same desire, but in a miniature form. So that's why this long face contracts into a small face. Okay, from the Ratzon of before the Tzimtzum, going through the Tzimtzum of Atzilus. Okay. Anyway, that's just, a term, Zar Anpin, and that corresponds to the 7 midas. Okay. Now, why it's called face? Because that's the face, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chushim. Remember, of the Ratzon? They make a face. In these 7 chushim of the Ratzon become the 7 midas of Zer Anpin. But it's only Zer Anpin is truly 6 midas. And then there is an aspect of Malchus that really actualizes all that potential. It's actually happening. Okay. So we left off where we went into this whole understanding that the addition to the light of Atzilus truly happens only to the aspect of light and not aspect of koach, chayus and koach, right? If you remember, we discussed that the creation happens through 3 aspects. It's light, chayus, and koach. Okay. So with that, we said that in the light aspect, we can add to our Torah mitzvahs, to the light. But as far as chayus and koach concerned, that's already kind of goes in accordance to the light. We cannot just kind of interject and communicate with Malach Michael right? Which is on the level of koach, and try to influence him to give us more. Okay? That's the problem of Ovda Zara that they tried to do, right? Like, I'm just going to have this discussion with Malach. I don't care about the light of Hashem. It's just too high and abstract. Let me deal with, I don't know, Kochavim, Mazales, and everything else, right? Horoscopes and all that. Why it's the wrong thing to do? Because of this statement that on the level of Chayes and Koach, you cannot do anything. It's already done. Whatever the light, that's what Chayes and Koach will be in proportion to whatever's going on in the light level. Oh, you don't like it. You want to change it. Okay, discuss it with the light creator. Okay, discuss it with God himself. You don't need to go down to the level of Koach, Chayes and Koach, because you won't be able to change anything anyway there. Okay, and that's what we're going to be looking at now. Okay, we are right here. Okay.
You don't want to go from the beginning because it was quite a break.
But we did it already. No, you want to go from the beginning?
I think that it wasn't so clear as well because we also, we spoke about, we weren't so sure about the whole process of tohu and how that was working in terms of mitzvahs. I feel like, especially because there's a 2-week break, that we should go back to the beginning and
Okay,
and
we
then
can go to
just
the beginning.
continue.
It's not a problem. Okay, it's not so long. We went there. Okay.
Okay.
Hina yedua beikar kavanat anivra, abriya, right? And however, it is known that the primary intention of the creation, it was because we need to transform darkness into light. They shall right? That through this, he will have a dwelling place in this lower realms. What does this mean, dwelling place? Okay, that he will feel comfortable here. Which means that there is going to be a revelation of unlimited light. Okay, here down below, in the Bri Yitzir Nasiya, Kmo Ba'atzilus Mamash, like it is in Atzilus. Okay, that's the whole Kavanah, right? That this darkness of this world will shine like the light of Atzilus. And this is done through Torah mitzvahs. How? Right. So what is the whole point of mitzvahs? Okay, so now he's pretty much separating the Torah from the mitzvahs, right? And we'll see how is he going to connect it together. Let's study how mitzvahs work. Okay. Bechinas biruri noga, right? It works through elevating refining the aspect of noga, right? Noga is a klipa. It's a permissible form of klipa, which we can call it harv. Okay. Meaning it's not kedusha and it's not unholiness. There are 3 levels of klipos, impure klipos, that we do not deal with. Well, we do deal with when we, but we're not allowed to deal with, put it this way. Okay, they are considered to be impure klipos. Okay, when we deal with these impure klipos, we cannot elevate it. The only way how we can elevate these 3 impure klipos is by rejecting them. Now, with noga, it's something different. Noga, it's a shiny klipa. Noga means shine. It's a shiny klipa where we could actually release that spark that's in it to the realm of holiness, right? We take an apple, we say bracha. We drink coffee, we say bracha. We take a skin of an animal, we make it tefillin. Meaning we actually bring things from the realm of it's not really unholiness, from mundane into kedusha. Okay, so that's the biruri noga we're talking about. This is the elevation of klipos noga. V'gam shelemata naase birur, right? And although, right, here down below, right, we do birur, we do this elevation, refinement. Al yedei ha'adam ha'oseh et mitzvah. It's done through the person, the actually person does the mitzvah. Here, I take my candles and I light Shabbos candles, okay? This is something that's done by the person. But truly what happens in the background, in the superconsciousness, mikol makom ikar inyan habiru naaseh al yedei or ha'eloki. Okay, but truly, the true birur, the true elevation happens through the godly light that oseh bahem kilyon biur, right? That is bringing about their consumption and eradication. Well, now we're going to talk about it. What are we talking about? Okay. V'zeu nifshatim mimahusam o mitkalalim lemala ba'atzilus. What?
So, when he says that it's actually done by the godly light, this is the godly light that the person has drawn down through doing his mitzvah, through the mitzvah.
Exactly. Through
right?
the process.
Okay.
Exactly. I
Right.
am performing a mitzvah. I am causing something. Okay. I'm activating a process. Okay. That's what I'm doing. I'm not the one who is in charge of the Seder Ishtalshalos. But what I'm doing is I'm activating a process of this consumption. Okay. That happens through the Malchus of Atzilus. We're going to go a little bit deeper in it a little bit later on, like in this paragraph. Okay. Now, what happens? So what ends up happening is that the sparks of holiness.
Line.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I read that. Right? So they go through the level of biur, right? They go through the level of consumption and like burning in a way. Biur is burning. That they will be removed, okay, from the makeup, right? And they could be elevated in the world of Atzilus. Okay? So what happens through that process? Right? And automatically they are ascending even higher to the root, B'sharsham. Shubabchinos Oris the Toyu. That they are in the lights of Tohu. Okay, now we need to understand the Kitzur, because right now we are learning about the world of Torah, not because it's now time for us to learn about the whole Torah situation. Okay, but this is truly for us to understand that in the beginning of creation, before our world, okay, Hashem had a trial. Okay, the trial was that he said, okay, we're going to create the world, and I'm going to create the world through a paradigm of Tohu. Okay, he created the world's paradigm of Tohu. Apparently, didn't work out so well. Okay, meaning something went wrong, and that was specifically because every single sephira, every single midah, okay, was not included of all other midas, so they were not so flexible. Okay, what ended up happening that the kalim broke, whatever that means. Okay, the kalim broke, and the sparks of them fell into this world, into the physicality of this world. Okay, and what that caused? Okay, give me a minute, please. And what that caused is that we have enormous amount of light here down below that truly doesn't belong here. Okay, if we look at the Seder Hishtalshalos, the light descends. Atzilus has the most, then it comes into Bria, it's a little less, then it comes into Yetzirah, it's a little less, and then it comes into the Asiya. Right? And all of a sudden you have these like gems in a way, you know, scattered all over the world, okay, that the source is much higher than Atzilus. Right? So they do not belong into this world in a way. Like they're not part of the regular Seder Hishtalshalos in a way. You understand? Because if we follow the actual rule of Hishtalshalos, Asiya should have the least godliness. And all of a sudden you have these gems, okay, that fell here, that part of Gashmias, okay, part of Klipas Noga, and half of it fell to South Africa, part of it fell to Mitzrayim, okay, and Mitzrayim was a lot. That's why you didn't have to go down there, right? It comes in the gematria of the word rudu, and in America, and in Russia, and all these people, and this is the Sod HaGolus, right? This is the secret of the Golus, right? That why Yidden went into all these countries. Okay, so they elevated all these sparks, and Baruch Hashem, we did it. Okay, so in Mitzrayim, they actually, it's in the gematria of Rudu, it's 210, right? So out of 260 something, how many sparks? Can you correct me? Okay, 210 were in Mitzrayim. Can you believe this? That's why we stayed there for so long. Okay, so, and then throughout the whole other Goliaths, we're collecting here, we're going here, we're going here. You know, Hashem is kind of moving us around so we can walk around and we elevate these sparks. Okay, so now throughout Torah mitzvahs. Okay, now, so now what we do, what ends up happening is that like this. We take these sparks, we elevate them, okay, and we're bringing them to the source, not only in Atzilus, because they're coming higher than Atzilus. Okay, Atzilus is already the world of Tikkun. Okay, it's a correction. Okay, now it's higher than Atzilus. So what happens when the light, when the spark goes back into the higher than Atzilus? Okay, what ends up happening is that now there's an eruption of light. So Atzilus will have more light. If Atzilus has more light, then Bria is going to have more light. If Bria has more light, then Yitzira is going to have more light. You understand what happens? Okay. So meaning through our work down here below, we cause a whole chain of events happening. Okay, so now what happens? And consequently, they ascend even higher than the roots. That this is the lights of Tov. Right, and afterwards, that this light of Tov, in additional lights, drawn down into the vessels of Atzilus. And automatically, that additional light ascends into Bria, right? What's exactly what we're talking about? Okay, so it ends up happening that until the light is drawn below, above, as explained, meaning there's going to be this equalization, okay, of the light.
Mila, I just want to ask people quickly, like, is that clear to you, this process that we're describing? Most of you should have heard like some of that from Tanya and from different places. But I think here he describes it very bekitzer in a very interesting way. Is it clear, just like a hands up? Or is it confusing?
So I understand, I think, a little bit the process, but what are the vessels of Atzilus?
Vessels are the expression. Okay,
Atzilus,
because
is it Atzilus is expression?
No, the vessels of Atzilus, it's expression of Atzilus, right? For example, there is Mila, right now, and then there are my words. Okay, my thoughts, my feelings are expressed through my words. Words are my kalim. My actions are my kalim.
But how are those words? How are those words? How do we know that they're from Atzilus?
If I'm gonna bother,
Except that we know that you're great. I mean,
you're not gonna order the
The Sfirot are the Kalim. So the Sfirot of Atzilus are the Kalim for the light that comes into Atzilus.
Okay, I'm just not sure, practically speaking, what that means. In this,
practically speaking, is that how Atzilus is going to communicate to Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. Okay, so if there's more light added in Atzilus, then it's going to be expressed through its kalim into Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. Okay, if he was going to say just in Atzilus, not necessarily is going to go down into Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. Okay, but when he's using the word kalim, that means it's already being communicated. Because Atzilus needs kalim not only to contain Atzilus, but also to.
Okay, so there's the thought is there's a thought that's brought down into words, and that's the kalim. That's a kalim of Atzilus.
Meaning the light is being expressed now into the lower worlds.
Okay, and it doesn't matter who's doing the expressing.
Well, now we know who's doing the expression. It's being activated by a man below by performing a mitzvah, and he's causing this whole chain of event, this whole machine to work in a way.
Okay, so this is only in the context of performing a mitzvah.
Yes.
Okay.
So perhaps, Mila, you can just describe, like when I was asking you earlier, like how that actually happens. I know you mentioned it now, but like, for example, that you take the hide of an animal and you change it into tefillin, and you use the tefillin. So you're elevating the sparks in the animal. And of course, we also talk about the animal soul. And then that goes into the world of Atzilus and then up to the world of Tohu and then comes back down as creating additional lights that will come back down into this world. So that's the power of our mitzvot, our physical mitzvot, is that they're actually adding light. That's why they call it additional light. They're adding light to the system of Hishtalshlut, which on its own, as Mila was saying, feels like this world. Like, how do we add light to this world? So the Reb Hillel is really explaining this mechanism. I think it's extraordinary of how our mitzvot literally do that. You know, we've always been told, okay, so they're nitzutzot, they're these sparks that are in the physical objects and that we release them. But, you know, now he's saying they go into Atzilus, then they go back to their source in Tohu, and then can come back down to this world. So through our mitzvahs and through this, what he's going to describe as the Or Choser, we're adding light to the world of Asiya.
So in addition to what we've always been taught, that a mitzvah connects us to Hashem and to the light, that it's not just the individual connection, it's really adding light to the whole world in a concrete way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
how we connect to Hashem. Right. It's not only it's in a way he's giving us this deeper mechanisms of what happens by a mitzvah. Okay, it's true it connects us to Hashem. Hashem told us to do, but that's just like a one way of seeing it, right? Here, Hashem is obsessed, you know, in a way, through us activating in the creation. We literally affecting the creation, not only our individual connection with Hashem being strengthened through performing the mitzvah, but on top of it, Hashem also created a structure that we are kind of responsible of what's happening in the creation, not only of this world, but all of the worlds, meaning the spiritual malachim and neshamas that live in the world of Atzilus are benefiting right now through our performance of mitzvahs. They literally that's why there is such an appreciation. Okay, that's why the whole Mesiras Nefesh of the neshama to come into such a restriction. Like, why would you want to do this? Like, I mean, out of your mind to be coming from this unlimited and fit yourself into this, you know, body and being able to be expressed only through this limited. It's like it's an enormous pain for the neshama, and like why, like how Hashem bribes her, you know, like what he tells her. Okay. He shows her all the things that she will actually accomplish in this world, not only in this world, but also in all other worlds, that she would never be able to do if she will remain in whatever world she is in. Like, it's just, she's there and she is on that plateau in a way, you know. I mean, she goes up and down through the, you know, processes of whatever else, you know, she's doing there in Gan Eden. Okay, but when she actually comes down here, the effect that she has on the whole chain of the world, that she's ready to go through this pain. Like, that's the mind-boggling. We don't see that whole behind mechanism, okay, for the simple reason of Hashem wanting to give us the freedom of choice. But it's there. You know, we're just not aware of it. It's our super conscious levels that we're not even aware and not attuned unless we refine ourselves to be attuned to that. Okay. Okay.
So just to say that going forward, now that you understand the mechanism, he's going to explain it in more detail. And some of the language is going to be a bit technical and it doesn't really matter, but it's, you know, you see, as he described before, by going into more details, it's like, okay, you heard this concept before and you kind of knew it for 30 years. But now he's going into detail. If you understand the detail, it can be more pnimiut in your neshama. Okay, let's go.
Okay, right? And it is known that the primary refinement is accomplished through the name Ban, which refines. Okay, now we're not going to go into this whole name because we're going to lose half of our clientele by going into all the names of Hashem and how miluim of Yudke Vavke. We're just going to take it. Shem Ban usually refers to Malchus of Atzilus. Okay, Hainu al yedei bechinas Malchus da Atzilus, meaning through Malchus of Atzilus, kmo shehi bechinas Atzilus. Right? If you remember, Malchus of Atzilus has two aspects. One is that she's still Malchus of Atzilus, but within the world of Atzilus. And then she just like breaks through and then she creates. Okay? So, meaning she becomes the Malchus of Atzilus descending into the Kesser of Riyah. We're talking about that level where she's still in above its enclosement, right? Lamala mislapshus the Keter de Bria. Before she encloses itself in the Bria. I'm sorry. Okay. Vazeo bechinas malchuscha, right? And this is the level of malchuscha, yom malchus. She's a bechinas nizgav shmol levade, right? That his name alone is exalted, right? Exalted alone, meaning he's still alone. In Atzilus, there's nothing going on there. And this is for when the light is drawn down to it from the Nibraim, and he consumes and eradicates them completely. Okay, interesting. How is it? Don't worry, we're going to learn how that process actually happens.
Can I just ask you, what is from it? From it is from Malchus of Atzilus?
Yes, from this Malchus of Atzilus
Okay.
is draw down this light, right? Meaning, we're talking about Malchus of Atzilus before it creates and after it creates. That there's an in-between kind of stage, right? From it, it's being drawn down, this light, okay, within the creation.
But wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I have an orchestra right behind me. My daughter wants to sing. I don't know if you hear me.
Yeah, we just had a Hazakah in Tzfat.
Wow. I thought it was Hazakah. No, it's not. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. You just had Hazakah, Elka.
Wow.
A big boom.
Wow. Do you have a mamad, Alkalea? Okay, she probably needs to go.
Yeah, I mean, we have a miklat next to us.
Oh, okay.
They remembered Tzfat.
Ezrat Hashem, they should be consumed and eradicated.
Amen. Sorry, I'm sorry I disturbed you.
No. You should do what you need to make yourself safe. All right, let's see. Where's Tamila?
Well, I hope our learning right now helps.
So,
Mm.
Mira, I just want to, sorry, I reckon if like I'm confused, some other people are also in the English. So it says, for when light is drawn from it, so from it means Malchus of Atzilus, into the created beings, it consumes and eradicates them completely. The created beings, it consumes and eradicates the created beings, that's us. Or the physical objects, like what is it referring to? It's the physical objects that we do the mitzvot with.
Yeah, we go through the kilayon as well. The neshama goes through this kilayon. We're going to talk about it later on. Okay.
All right.
Okay. I know shehem nifshati mimahusam. What does this mean? He eradicates them, meaning the created beings, right? They are completely removed from the makeup. When yichlalim ba'or atzilus, they become included in the light of atzilus. Okay. Meaning there is a process where I let go of my lower level of existence into my higher consciousness, in a way, right? Meaning I cannot remain in my Gashmias to be included in the world of Atzilus, right? Like, for example, we could talk about how metabolism takes place, right? Like, if I eat an apple, right? Apple doesn't go into my bloodstream. And if it does, a person is dead, right? It doesn't happen. It has to go through the refinement process that the certain macronutrients, okay, through going, through my digestive system, it breaks down each part of my intestines, right? Break down, they have certain enzymes, and they break down the food, and they extract what that particular macronutrient. That's why it's like a long story, right? My intestines is a very long story. Okay. So it waits, and through this whole breakdown process, it extracts that particular thing that my blood needs. Okay. And then it's going to be beneficial, meaning apples are not become part of my it's what apples contain, the nutrients that apples or whatever else I'm eating, the proteins, blah, blah, blah. It's going to divide it into very simple categories that will give me energy and nutrients for my life to sustain. Okay, so the same way as in the world of Atzilus, the way we are, unrefined, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's just not, we're not going up there. It's too heavy. The energy is too heavy. Okay, so there is a refinement process that happens. Okay, like the cows are not ending up in Atzilus, right? There is an energy is being refined to such an extent that it could elevate itself to the world of Atzilus, and also from lower worlds up and up, right? For example, when we are thinking about when we live in this world, right? What comes to our thoughts? Like, let's say I'm thinking about a cup of coffee. Can you imagine somebody will just open my mind, okay, in my brain, and put a cup of coffee inside, right? What's going to happen? You're not going to see me anymore, okay? It's not fun, meaning the consequences are but at the same time, I could hold an image of a cup in my visual center. That's a refined way of holding that object in my mind, okay? And a thought about creating such a cup was held by somebody else's mind, okay, that came into Gashmias in this particular form, that they took paper and they figured out how they could make cups out of it, and so on and so forth, right? But it was held in a refined way in the thought, and the same way as an emotion in my heart. Okay. And then went through all, and then only my hands, my external, okay, my actions were able to actually hold paper and press it and, work with it and create a vessel for it. Okay. And now I'm holding it with my external makeup of this cup with my external hands. Okay. That's chitzonius of chitzonius. Okay, but let's go through this, what he has to say. So what ends up happening, that automatically, okay, the aspect of Noga within each being, okay, is being elevated. Okay, the energy is going to be going down there as well. And through this process of us refining ourselves, okay, now remember who does it? It's Ora Eloki does it, right? We just stir the process. Yeah, we just activate the process, but then the whole refinement happens through the Ora Eloki. Now it comes back. Now this light of Atzilus that we activated, right? The light of Tohu went, meaning the Nitzot went to the Tohu, then went into the world of Atzilus and activated that. Now this light of Malchus of Atzilus is now going to come down into every Nivra. You understand? To add more light to it and to give life to it, to illuminate and enliven it. You understand? So now, through this process of kilayon, a person might think like, oh my gosh, I'm going to stop existing. No, that itself will give it more light. You understand? And more life force. So the letting go of the Matthias, actually, the bittul, we're going to call it, right? It's going to create more chayas. Do you understand? It's like my liver has to be in a state of bittul to my heart. And what happens as a result of it? Monarchy? No. What's going to happen is that my heart will be able to feed more energy to it, more circulation to it. You understand? And therefore, in a healthy body, we do not feel our limbs. They don't have their own self-consciousness. They are bottled to the heart. And that's what this actual bittul, it's causing more chayas to it. It's a paradox in a way. We think that we're becoming our own individuality, and that's what gives us chayas. It actually does the opposite. The more we mevatel ourselves, the more chayas we get. Because lack of resistance, okay, my kalim are much more relaxed. Okay, so the more I can get. Does that make sense? And that's what happens with all our organs. Okay, the more bittul they have, okay, the more circulation they have. And that's why one of the Rambam's first advice in his whole health situation is move. The disease, it's a lack of circulation in that area. Move, do exercises, that's going to be washed by the blood, because the true healer is the circulation. Meaning stagnation, that's the issue. Why a nivra is going to have into the state of stagnation? Because there's no bittul. Okay, the more bittul there is, the more energy there is. Okay, because they're not resistant. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm understanding it. From what I was learning in Tanya, it's like an arousal from below results in arousal from above. So by doing the mitzvah, then the light flows down into this world. And also it was saying that the consuming, like when it's a consuming fire that devours and destroys. What I understood in recent Tanya was that it's destroying the Yetzer Hara, or the animal soul. Mm-hmm. So is that what you mean by, like, you're becoming more bitter?
Meaning it consumes the physicality, okay, of it, and then adds more light to it. Meaning the person performing the mitzvah right now, right? It's not only that he is sacrificing, but he's also getting through the sacrifice. It's an addition of light that's coming directly to him. Besides, it's affecting all of creation, but it's actually landing into his life. okay? Meaning into his being. So now he's going to give a mashal, right? Right? And this light resembles lidmil or haner. It's similar to the candlelight. Sha'or nimshach mikilyon hashemesh, right? That the light descends through the consumption of the oil. Okay? Kol mashe yitrabe hasheme yeribu ha'or. And the more oil there is, the greater the light is. V'kach hu lemala. And the same system is like in the upper world. Bechinas tosefes oiros, right? That the additional light draw down from Atzilus. Okay, hanimshachi me'Atzilus atzmai lebiyah. They are being drawn down from Atzilus itself to the biyah. Okay, v'hu lifi erech biruri hanivroim. And this is in accordance to the birur of the nivroim. Ha'oili milamata lamala, that are going up from below. And it's not like this. The manifestations of the two aspects of chayus and koach. Lo yosef lo yigra. Person cannot add and cannot remove. Kefi asher nimder betchilas hanivra. How it was measured in the beginning of creation. And again, creation happens every moment. Whatever the light triggered, that's going to be manifested in the chayus and koach. Okay, that's it. You cannot change that. Whatever was coming down, you could trigger the light. More light will cause more chayus. More chayus will cause more koach. Okay, that chain event we could, but we cannot just isolate and like I'm going to work with koach. No, you don't have koach. It's because you don't have chayus. You don't have chayus. It's because you don't have light. Do you understand? You cannot do anything on a koach level. Over. Go to the light. Bring more light. That will cause more chayus, will cause more koach. Okay? Vehine yesh beis bechinos or. Okay, now we're going to go into a whole new thing, and I think just, pay very good attention here, right? Because there are two aspects of light, or yashar or chozer. If you remember, in the beginning of chapter 3, we talked about that shemesh, the sun, was more or yashar. Who remembers that? And the candle was or chozer. Okay, returning light. Now, he's going to make an interesting correction here. And the intention is not only returning light that ascends from below to above. We might think like it's below to above, the returning light. Not necessarily. But even the light drawn down from above to below is included in Or Chozer. Because if I'm activating the light, okay, if it comes as part of my activation, although it's coming down up, it's still Or Chozer. It returns to me because of my activation. The part of my light goes up. Remember the nitzots, right? The spark going up, it's also Or Chozer. It's returning light, meaning it returns to its source. But then it's also returning to me because I activated it. Okay, it's also called Or Chozer. So meaning he's adding that detail that we should not think that Or Chozer, it's only our light going back to its source. Now, it's also when it comes back from its source, it's also Or Chozer. Why it's so? Right? And I think that was Yoni was talking about, since it is drawn through the return of light, which is the arousal from below mentioned earlier. Now, that it's still in proportion to what I did. Meaning Or Chozer, it's in proportion to what I did. Masha'enkin b'chinas Or Yashar. Now, Or Yashar works totally different. Or Hayimshach.
Can I just stop for a moment, just to clarify, in case people are not clear, that the word Or Yashar, Or Chozer, refers to light that is created as a result of an arousal from below. like from our action. And the light travels back up. So we create light through our actions, and the light travels back up. And then there's a light that returns, or choser, as a result of our action. Like it's a call and response. You know, like we talk about it in terms of Elul. Ani ledoidi v'doidi li. Like we do something and Hashem responds. So here he's making like a subtle distinction where he's saying you might think that the word or choser just refers to the light that we create. Saying no, you should know that the light that we create and the light that comes back down as a result of our actions is all called or choser. And the light is in proportion to what we did. Okay, I just wanted to make that clear, clarify that in case it wasn't clear.
Thank you. Masha Enkin Pchinas Or Yashar, right? Or Yashar works a bit differently. Now, this is the light that is being drawn down to below automatically due to nature of chesed. Okay, Hashem decided I'm going to create the world. There's no avodah yet. Nobody did anything, and Hashem just sends the light. Okay, why? Just because I am kind. I decided that I'm creating this kind relationship. I'm good. I'm just going to give. Okay.
But it can also be just as we sometimes get or yashar. Like Hashem can give us something not based on our work.
Absolutely. But there's a tricky here, right? That or yashar truly is being drawn down only when there's a returning line. So it's true that it's like person is still involved in doing something, right? He's doing something, but it's completely not in proportion to what he did. Okay, meaning he creates in a way like a magnet for this light to descend, but that is not in proportion to what he did. Okay, a person took 10 cents, put in a in a pushka, and his daughter was healed. Like, whoa, like 10 cents? Like, hello. It's not like he sacrificed his, a yearly salary, right? I mean, how much effort can it be 10 cents, right? And that's why, like, you'll be surprised. The Rebbe says, no, they'll give a few coins into a tzedakah before lighting candles. Like, how does that proportionally reflect? We have no idea. But this is what we're talking about, that sometimes, or yashar is being descended when there's a little keli is there. Okay, it doesn't have to be a big keli, a little. Okay, okay. He right? Because the blessing does not rest in an empty place, meaning you need to create something. But nevertheless, its extension is not proportionate to the arousal from below. Okay, that's Or Yashar. I have a question. Yes.
How can we affect the Or Yashar? Is Birkat Kohanim drawing Or Yashar? Is davening drawing Or Yashar?
Anything. It's like you see a lot of times the Rebbe would say, light a Shabbos candle. I mean, come on, how much effort it is for a frum woman to light a Shabbos candle. I mean, like, the Shabbos candles are right now so cheap. I mean, how much is 2 candles cost? Like, seriously? Do you know? It's like, or like a person does chesed, and then all of a sudden it comes back in this enormous way. It's like, meaning the blessing doesn't rest in an empty place, right? So you create something, you create a little opening.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, okay, 1 second.
But on the other hand, surely, Mila, Sarah's question is, how can you, like, I don't understand, how can you ask that question? Because we're saying that Or Yashar is not reliant on the arousal from below. So then how can you say, how can I make it happen? It's
I was
coming,
thinking that maybe Birkat Kohanim, we know that Birkat Kohanim is independent of your zchuyot, of your doing, it just rushes down. But
It
does
is
tefillah,
chesed. You're right. It's because Kohanim, they represent this whole flow of chesed. Maria, if you remember, there's a letter that you shared about Tzemach Tzedek. Remember for the River of Change?
yeah,
But the Rebbe talks about that chesed ha'elyon. Remember? It's like this
no,
gushing river that just flows, and
mhm.
like just knowing that things are coming my way, regardless to what I do. But I'm doing a little thing. It's just like more like I would say like a symbolic thing, than the actual avodah. You understand? There is an aspect of us doing like mitzvahs and all that, like in like real intensity. You know what I mean? To cause something or just as our commitment to Hashem, and that creates this whole what we just discussed, right? Or choser. But then the Or Yashar, he throws this sentence there, although the Or Yashar usually doesn't happen unless a person does something, a little keli. You understand? So he creates a little keli. But he says, Mikol Makom Hamshachase Shalolafi Erech Isurusa Delatata, right? And he's coming down, it's not in proportion to Isurusa Delatata.
But Mila, what I understand from that is, and I could be wrong, but the way that I hear it is that it's not that you do something specific in order to arouse the Or Yashar, because
No, you don't need to arouse the Or Yashar. Or Yashar is coming.
Let me finish. So but if you imagine, if you say, for example, all of us are Balei Tshuva, how did Hashem, Hashem's, the light is there all the time. But if you don't have some kind of vessel, like then there's nothing for the light to rest on. But there's no kavanah in the action that can create the vessel for the Or Yashar. But there has to be something. Like a person has to sit and meditate, or like there has to be something that the Or Yashar can rest on. But it's not like, oh, I did this and therefore the Or Yashar came. I think like it's more of a general, this is how I read it, that's more of a general, there has to be a vessel, but the Or Yashar is not in proportion to the vessel. But, the light can be there, but if there's absolutely no vessel, you won't know about it. You won't feel it. Like why?
To be honest,
Yeah.
it says about the hidden, that even the simple ones is full of mitzvahs karimon. So I'm sure, it's very hard to see somebody, completely like free of mitzvahs. Like I don't think people like this exist. Even not from people, even like I don't know, they live a completely goyish way. They got to be doing something. It's like the mitzvahs are so intense. I'm talking about like there's such a variety of mitzvahs. There's once I read one letter of the Rebbe where about the mikvah for women. The Rebbe says like, yeah, people, women go to swim. So technically a woman could do a mitzvah of mikvah without even her awareness of she's doing it. She could be, she, completed her cycle. It happened to be that it's 7 days passed by, and it happened to be that she was, I don't know, she went to this river in, I don't know, in Mexico, and she dipped herself. You understand? It's like, so it could be she doesn't even know about such mitzvah's existence, and she happened to be going swimming, and she performed the mitzvah of tevilah. Do you really need to have a kavanah? Yes and no. It could be yes and could be no. You understand? It's like not necessarily. It has to be, conscious. And yet Hashem considers it a mitzvah. Did she perform a mitzvah? Yes. And her co-worker, I don't know, was hungry. She gave her half of her lunch and she performed the mitzvah of tzedakah. But who wouldn't give? I mean, we're human beings, like, so Hashem, I'm sure that everybody already has enough of Or Choser for Or Yashar to dwell. So, okay. V'hine, zeu ha'efresh bein Or HaMalchus da'atzilus bein Or HaMides da'atzilus hanikra b'china zo da'atzilus. Now, we see that there's a difference between the
paper, mommy.
The light of the Malchus of Atzilus.
Paper.
1 second. Oh, you want to decorate this? No, this is actually belongs to somebody. I have this. Okay, this paper. Okay. Sorry. Now we see the difference between the Malchus of Atzilus and the Mides of Atzilus, which is called Zer Atid, right? Now, what's the difference? Meaning, we're talking about the difference between Or Yashar and Or Choser. Okay? Shor Malchus nirpshach ba'alava lefi erech bitul v'kilyon ha'nivraim shu b'chinas biruri noga shebachol nivra. Now, the Malchus, she's not giving you anything for free, basically. Malchus of Atzilus, you do this to me, I do that to you. Okay? Remember, Malchus comes from Bina. Bina, meaning Malchus, and Gevura. This is all left line. Bina, Gevura, you understand? Malchus is a middle line, but she's a daughter, and her mother is Bina. Remember? Like daughter, like mother, like daughter. Okay? So she has this Gevura aspect to her. You do this, you get this. Okay, you give 10% of your income, I'm going to multiply it by 10. That's what you're getting in return, in one form or the other. Okay, there is no freebies here. Okay, so the Malchus of Atzilus is very calculative. It's in every detail of creation. How much you mevatel, this is how much you get, period. Okay, now, but who inyan nahara chevra, right? Right? If you look at the candle, yes, you could take a look at it. If you look at the candle, what do we see? Who knows? Anybody meditated on the candle? You see a wick, then you see a black light. Okay, and on top of that black light, there is this yellow light, right? So in Kabbalah, we're talking about black light and a white light. Okay, so the white light is in the proportion of the black light. Vahu, meaning I cannot have more of the white light, but I'm actually lighting and benefiting. We're benefiting from the white light. We cannot benefit from the white light when my wick is like scrawny and small. You want more light, what do?
Mila,
What?
as you're saying, I'm wondering if that blackness is actually the place where the wick is being consumed.
Yeah, it is.
The burning of the wick.
The burning of the wick, exactly. If you get a nice, thick wick, okay? And I'm telling you, like, first few hours of us, when my kids, they measure the wicks and, like by Hanukkah menorah, I like it, I don't like it, no, this is too thin, this is too thick. If it's too thick, I need more oil, because if it's a too thick wick, it drinks more oil, so you need more oil. If it's a thin one, scrawny one, so it's not such a good light, but it lasts longer. Do you understand? It's like, it's a whole situation by me, okay? And then, it's like a whole measuring, and that's exactly what we're talking about. So because they mamish feel it, like the more oil, the thicker wick, you got a beautiful fire, okay? Beautiful flame. So we understand, I want more flame. I want more light. I got to have a normal wick and a good oil, right? And different oils, actually, we do that in a cheder. We put different types of oil, and we see that every oil has its own light. It's like, it's mamish beautiful to notice that not all oils, they burn the same. There's a reason why we choose olive oil, because it burns very differently. Masha'enkin or the Zoh. The Zoh, it's not like that. The light of Zoh of Atzilus, hu me'ir, mi'mele, u'mi'alav, mitzateva chesed. It shines automatically and on its own due to the nature of chesed. Kiyadua, the binyan hazachar b'chasadim, right? And it is known, the structure of masculine is from the chasadim, right?
So just to say what that means is Zeir Anpin is
Zer
considered
Anpin is a masculine energy. Zer Anpin is a masculine energy, okay? And when we see if man is within, more connected to his masculine energy, they usually just give, they're much larger, they're not like, oh, you did this, you didn't do this. I'm just giving, that's it, not going into the details. They don't go into the details, and they don't like to go into the detail. And, even physiologically, we see that, like, I know, I could give that an example. It's practically speaking. I mean, how much does it take to make a child? You need only just one cell from the woman and one cell from the man, right? And the woman does her job. She gives one and sometimes two. That's it, right? But from the man's perspective, right? I mean, did you ever see like why it has to be millions of them traveling? You understand? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like millions, okay, 10, 11, 20, okay, 100. But millions? Like, it just doesn't make sense. You really need to have millions to have one baby. And the woman gives only one. She gave one. Okay, sometimes she gives two. And even one. And if Hashem wants twins, it has to be a whole situation why they two, divide, and it's a whole story. It's a whole miracle how twins are created. Okay, so not because the woman is stingy. Well, she comes about like that, It's like, no, this is how much you need. You don't need so much, It's like the more calculative. Women's nature, the feminine nature is more calculative, okay? Like, technically speaking, even breastfeeding. Do you understand that our breasts create milk on demand? Not more, not less. You want more milk? You have to stimulate the breast. The baby has to stimulate the breast from 3 to 5 days continuously. And then the woman's body produces more milk. If you think, if a man would be breastfeeding, okay, just produce 10 gallons, and then that's it. No, but the woman's body doesn't work like that. Okay, remember, no, you need 1 more ounce extra, you have to work for 5 days. You have to prove me that that's exactly what you want for 5. No, it's a science, and you look at it, and then you learn about Malchus of Atzilus to be very calculative, but that's just how it is. This is the biology. Biology of the woman is like that, because that's where she's coming from. That's her makor. And the biology of a man is very different. That's where he's coming from. That's his makor. Okay? So, anyway, so that it's not in accordance to the Nivraim. I'm just shining. I'm just giving. Now, right? And this aspect of light of Hashem coming from the Zoh of Atzilus, it looks like the light of the sun. Light of the sun, I'm shining. You happen to have clouds. It's your problem. Deal with them. I have nothing to do. I am shining. Okay? You have your windows open. You don't have your windows open. I have my 28-year schedule. Do yourself a favor. Study it. If you want sun, you're going to travel the world. You always could have sun. But this is what I'm doing. Okay, whether you like it or not. That's why in New York, a lot of times they live half a year in New York, half a year in Florida. They want more sun. Okay, or the opposite. Right? Now, this, what we actually discussed above, the difference between the light of the sun and the light of the candle. Right? So the candle works completely different. What do you mean I'm just shining? I'm not wasting. You want more light? Put more oil. Put more wick. Does that make sense? So meaning the light of the candle is more within what we do and how we do it and what we want. The sun just shines. Can we affect more sun? I mean, there is no absolutely a single thing what we could do to get more sun. We can't do anything about it. That's just a fact. Okay? Oh, you want to have more sun? Okay, clean your windows. Okay? I don't know. They do this, for example, if you have cloudy day and or it's supposed to rain, they could shoot rockets and they could remove the clouds. You know this? I heard that you could do this. Anyway, so you could technically remove the blockages. You understand? So if a person is missing light, it's not always like, and they want to access the Zohar light, they just need to remove blockages, basically. And the light is there. Okay, but when we want to produce more light, that's already the whole mechanism of the mitzvah. Okay, mitzvah allows us to produce more light. Okay, she'or haner nimshach me'esha yisodi. Now, or haner is coming from the elemental fire. Now, this is chapter 19 of Tanya. It's not a long chapter. You want to go deeper into this whole understanding where, the fire is coming. Apparently, there is tachat galgal hayareach. This is the word, right? Under the orbit of the moon, that's where the Esha Yisodi is there. Okay, meaning the source of Esha Yisodi. And to be honest, I don't know where that is. It's a spiritual thing, right? It's more abstract, and it's Koach Hayuli, as you're going to talk about it, right? But this elemental fire, which is one of the 4 elements, right? So elemental fire is one of the 4 elements. That's part of this Gashmi world. And therefore, it could actually become one with them. What do you mean one with them? It could actually consume it. Okay, right? And to consume them, and in accordance to that, it shines. And therefore, the light of the candle is more felt. And it's not like this, the Or Hashemish. Right? It's not part of the 4 elements. Right? The same way as above. Malchus of Atzilus is the source of created being from nothing into something, so she's part of them. Anikra Kvod Nivra. Tikkun Zar, right? And in Tikkun Zar, it is written glory of creation. Okay, I don't know what exactly that means, but it's a glory of creation. Hagam hu koach eloki, although this is a power, a divine power, rak al shem pu'ulosei, right? It's called a koach eloki. Again, pay attention to the word koach, right? It's the power, koach, divine koach, right? And it's called like this because of what it actually activates. Okay, nivra. What it does, it actually creates the nivra, and therefore it's called kavod nivra, and therefore it's called like a glory of creation, because that's what it does, right? Its function is to create creations. Right, and it's in similar to the elemental fire. Okay, it also says Kmoshi. Right? For Hashem is your consuming fire. And the Zoh is not like this. Hu kadosh uvdal. He is holy and exalted. It's like sun. What sun has to do with creation? Well, everything is photosynthesis, it's this and that. Okay, but sun is not thinking about creation. Sun is just shining. Happen to be you benefiting from it, that's very good. Okay, so that's more makif. Okay, the candle is more pnimi. Okay, and it's like the coming down of the sunlight. Right? And it's not like this, as is written, because Shemesh and Magen is the Havaya and Elokim. Okay, Masha'enkin Malchus Nikra Hashem. And the Malchus is called the opposite, right? Not the opposite, but it's different. She's called the candle of Hashem. Neria, this is your part. Ner Hashem. Okay, Shaham Shachas Orahu al Yidei Kilyon Hapnimi. Right, that her light is drawn down through the internal inner expiration. Okay, she becomes kind of like the passion, okay, that Malchus of Atzilus has, this intensity, right, relative to the Mides, okay, because remember, the is male, okay, Malchus is female, right? There's a Zoh and Nukva, right? Nukva she's female. That relationship that happens between Zoh and Malchus very much resembles the relationship between, male and female. And through this internal expiration that's in her, Bechinas Amidas the Atzilus, right? That compared to the Midas of Atzilus, what happens? Kamamar Azar, like Zohar says, Magu dechikoi the rechimnuta, okay, as iras garma, right? As Zohar states, from the intensity of love, it diminishes herself. Okay, so she works in a very interesting, until ad did avida, my Aramaic, the it of this nekuda chada below chivar klal, until it becomes a single point without whiteness at all, without any light. Okay, so she is so in love with the Zoh, okay, and through the intensity of her love towards the Zoh, she becomes like nothing. She becomes like one point without any lightness. And what this corresponds to, Shu Kudum wat Esha Yisodi, right? And this is similar to the elemental fire, Shu Chashuch, which is dark. What do you mean Chashuch? If you look, nobody found any fire under the orbit of moon. Like that's like, it's coming from there. But in its source, it's dark. Okay? There is no fire there. So the same thing is with her. She becomes like a point. There's nothing. Where's Malchus? We have no idea. Why is it? It mitzat otzim bitulo l'makoro, right? This is because of its intensity and its nullification to its source, shuhu chomer hayuli, which is like the primordial matter. I mean, I don't know what's primordial matter, but I think Yuli is more something that we have discussed, right? That this Koach HaMaskil was the mashal, that the first time we exposed the whole understanding of Yuli, right? It's just a membrane, but everything is coming from it, right? There's nothing there, but everything is coming from it. And this is very essential for us to understand, right? Because when we are talking about light actually comes from the darkness.
It's 11:31.
Almost. Yeah.
It's red.
But al yedei zen yimshach ba'or. And through this, meaning through the bitul, that she comes nothing, that's how the light is being drawn down through her. It's like, it's a paradoxal, right? Like, hello, how could that happen? V'nasid b'chinas ner, and it becomes ner, laha'ir tosefes ores, b'chol gila omer zebiyah, right? And it becomes a candle to illuminate additional light in the three worlds of Bri, Yitzir, and Asir. Shezeo b'chinas, hey kedolakman chula v'dal, right? This is the level of the letter hey, as explained earlier, and this is understood, right? Meaning the letter hey. Now, the Malchus of Atzilus is the lower hey.
Mommy, it's already 11:30.
I know.
Can't believe
I
I
have my
just
the
did
secretary reminding us that it's already 11:30. Okay, and this is the lower hay. Okay, that's after, it's really, really very interesting.
Can I look for them? You said it's 11:30.
What, give me a few minutes, okay?
Well, I just
Yeah.
said it was 2:10.
No.
Mila, I think we should try and end soon. Also because I think that it's a lot of information.
But again, we are moving back and forth, truly. There's a lot of details are being said, but I think we're moving back and forth between the candle and the sun. Okay, so if we understand that, this whole interesting dynamics in a way, how sun is operating, we will understand how the Zohar operates, how the masculine energy within the godliness operates. Okay? Once we understand how Malchus operates, we will understand how Malchus of Atzilus, meaning how candle operates, we'll understand how Malchus of Atzilus operates.
Mommy.
Okay, so, and I guess we could just, read it through and separate. I would make two lists, in order for us to compare, let's write down from the text everything what corresponds to the sun, okay, and what is the nimshal for it, and what corresponds to the candle, and what's the nimshal for the candle, okay, and then the or yashar and or chazer, this whole understand. So then we'll just kind of like clarify for ourselves. Out of this whole pool of information, we could just deliver, these two lists, okay, and then we could see like, oh, here it's like this, here it's like that, here it's like this, here it's like that. And that's when we play with our mind like that, all of a sudden, I think we could just, for me, Bichlal, understanding this whole dynamic helped me my understanding my spouse, my understanding my boys, how they operate. And it just, because for me, this is like, I wish, in our Shalom Bayis classes, somebody could like sit down and explain us this. Just understanding the psychology in a way of spiritual world helps us understanding this is where we're coming from. And in our relationship, we repeat same patterns. Why do we repeat same patterns? Because this is a universal patterns that Hashem created the world with. And we're part of this creation. It's silly to fight against such notions that are just embedded in the psychology of creation.
I think that's good homework to give everybody, is to go through this, what we've done so far, and to create, 2 columns with all of this information, because it's very hard to hold it in one's head, all of the information. So if we can give that to you to do, and then next week we'll take a look. You'll share them with us, B'ezrat Hashem. Otherwise, it's, you won't come away with anything solid. We really need to write it and see it. So, do some kind of mind map on this paragraph.
And then next week, what we could do is we're gonna finish the paragraph,
right.
And you're gonna share. But please do it. Put it in a group, whatever your process is. It's important. It's really keeps us alive. And if you want, we could just maybe give like a sheet, if that will be helpful. No, I'm talking about just the categories. Those are the categories. Okay, candle, shemesh.
No, let people work that. Come on, it's not nursery school.
No problem. Okay,
right.
Love you all. All the best. Thank you for joining us.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.